Hi, I'm Pat Hurley. I've been a professional radio broadcaster and talk show host in Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Fort Myers, Naples, and even the Huntsville, Alabama radio markets. I'm about to share with you just a few small clips of my radio programs, present and past. I hope you enjoy them, and I do hope you'll be in touch.
Well, Rachel is off this afternoon. Your humble correspondent, Pat Hurley, here sitting in with you on WTKI and WEKI. Thank you, Brian Jeffries, for making my stay here at the station so pleasant. I appreciate it. For those of you who are on your way home from working hard today and earning a paycheck, the Obama administration and those of your fellow Americans who aren't working would like to thank you, because without you, there would be no subsidies. There would be no money. There would be nothing to transfer from the haves to the have-nots, which actually brings us to the topic of the day. If you haven't heard yet, you didn't listen to the CBS newscast at the top of the hour, maybe the scuttlebutt by the water cooler today at work, the Supreme Court has done it yet again. Particularly, I should say, Chief Justice John Roberts has done it again. It seems that there is a passion in this man to keep Obamacare alive at all costs. And I mean at all costs. And today we're going to get into this, and you'll see how this one man, along with the usual suspects on the Supreme Court, contorted, stretched, rendered the plain meaning of words, and literally turned the whole process of law and interpreting law right on its head. So much to get into, and we're going to try to dedicate as much as we can this first hour to talking about it. I feel like I've got so much to go over. There's so many angles to look at this. It's like fitting 10 pounds of groceries in a 5-pound bag, but we'll do it anyway. So it's come down to a 6-3 decision today. Of course, Chief Justice John Roberts pulled another stunt. He was joined by, the usual suspects, Breyer, Sotomayor, Kagan, and Ginsburg. Surprisingly, though, at least in this case, Justice Kennedy joined the majority. That means that the three in the minority, the good guys, are Justin Antonin Scalia, Clarence Thomas, and Sam Alito. So it was 6-3. If you are a court watcher, and I don't consider myself a passionate court watcher, but I do love the subject, and I do like to read some of the opinions that come out of the Supreme Court, you know that there are just a handful of decisions yet to be handed down by this court during this session. And they're the biggies. This was one of them. Of course, the other one is the gay marriage question. But this is the one that I thought, and even people on the other side of this subject, the Obama administration would tell you very quietly off the air, Democrats in Congress, liberals and so forth, that the days of Obamacare subsidies, and perhaps the whole law, because if you pull subsidies out from underneath Obamacare, you don't have Obamacare. But even the people who are big supporters of this law were saying very quietly, this thing's not going to survive, because it was so clear. It was so clear in the law how this law was written that this could not survive. Let me take a step back. You need a little bit of a backstory for those of you who have not kept up with the genesis of Obamacare, how it has brought us here today. Let me give you a quick rundown so that you understand where we're at this point. So Obamacare was created, what was it, 7 years ago? What was it now, Brian? 6, 7 years ago? 5 years ago? Whatever it was. It was a handful of years ago. Created by a Professor Gruber, if you remember. Famous Professor Gruber out of MIT. Now, Obamacare was modeled after Romneycare, Mitt Romney's abomination in Massachusetts. So large parts of that law were borrowed to create, or at least be a starting point for Professor Gruber to design what is now the Affordable Care Act, a misnomer. We'll talk about that as well. But this is where we're at. So the architects of this law, the people in the Obama administration and Professor Gruber, they knew when they created this that folks would have to be forced to get health insurance. Nobody's going to do it voluntarily. How many people Literally, think about this, friends. Whether this is family members, friends, associates, people you work with, people at church, whatever. How many 23-year-olds, 25-year-olds, 28-year-olds bought their own health insurance? Literally, woke up one day and said, I need to go get health insurance. How many? Do you know any? I've never known any. The only time I knew 23, 24, 25-year-olds and such being insured was through the beneficence of their employer as part of a package of perks, a benefit. But nobody that I know of in their 20s ever went out and just willingly pulled money out of their pocket and said, I need a health care plan. That's just not the way it is. People that young feel that they're invincible, they're never going to get sick, and why do they need to pull so much money out of their pocket for something they really don't want and, frankly, don't need? They're healthy. They're in the peak of their health. So this was one of the fatal flaws of Obamacare. It was based on very, very healthy young people signing up for Obamacare and not needing to access it very much or very often. And therefore, the monies that would be generated from these hordes of young people, so they thought, buying Obamacare, these monies would be transferred to the less healthy, the older people, and therefore there would be a balance because the young people would not need so much care. The people who were older would need more care. It would all balance itself out. However, what do you do if a lot of young people don't sign up and don't pay for Obamacare? Well, there's the fatal flaw. Well, you got to give them credit for this at least. Here was where common sense came in. They knew it wasn't going to happen. So what did they do? They put in fines. They put in fines in the law that said if you don't sign up for Obamacare, I don't care how old you are, we're going to fine you through the IRS. The IRS is going to come after you, and they're going to fine you for it. Now, the Obama administration and our friend Professor Gruber from MIT, now I'm going back a couple of years now, said publicly on many occasions that those fines amounted to a tax. A tax. So a lawsuit was brought against the Obama administration saying you can't do that. These fines do amount to a tax. You've admitted that, and therefore this cannot go forward. It's against the law. Okay. It gets to the Supreme Court, and shocker, our Supreme Court Chief Justice John Roberts decides, well, forget what the architects of the law said. Forget about the Obama administration. Forget about Professor Gruber of MIT. Who cares if they say it's a tax? I, John Roberts, and now a majority in the liberal wing of the Supreme Court say, we don't care, it's not a tax. Obamacare can go forward. And that was its first brush with death. Now, when we come back from this break, I'm going to bring you a little bit more up to speed. We're going to dive headlong into this decision. It's unbelievable, folks. Keep both hands on the wheel. For safety reasons, you're going to need it. This is Pat Hurley on WTKI and WEKI. Stick with us. We'll be right back after these brief messages.
For the news and information you need to start your day the right way. This is Daybreak on Wing WNOG.
Welcome once again, Daybreak Southwest Florida. I am your temporary host, the Mr. Pat Hurley, with you. Glad you are here. Pick a microphone, any microphone.
I'm trying.
Musical mics here in the studio. Mandy Connell.
Hello.
One of my favorite broadcast people. As
I
always,
thought you were going to say one of my favorite broads.
Mandy Connell, one of my favorite broads, in
Yeah.
studio with me today. We always have fun when we're together, you know? A good time
You
is
say
usually...
it like that, like we're dancing around doing, the Snoopy dance. Well,
People don't know.
Yeah, we are.
We could be.
Yes, we are.
That's the beauty of radio. Master Control held down today by Jeff Wolf. Jeff always doing a fantastic job. Thank you, Jeff. And our favorite news guy, Adam Thomas.
Stingray.
Stingray, or Mr. Caterpillar. He's got to decide what he wants us to call him.
Well, let's face it. Stingray is much cooler than Caterpillar. Okay? See, the best part about this, ladies and gentlemen, we can see Adam, but he's getting information about Hurricane Dennis. He's, digging up the news right now. So
Right.
he's not paying attention.
Yep.
So we just get to watch him and make fun of him and laugh because he has no idea. He can't hear us. He's in a soundproof proof booth.
It's good for him, too.
Yeah,
We had a great
exactly.
day yesterday. Very interesting show, chock full of stuff.
Yeah, it was
today's
action-packed.
Today's not going to be any different.
Today's no slouch.
Today is no slouch. It's not going to take a backseat to any show. We're going to have a lot of stuff. First hour, we're obviously going to have a lot of news we're going to catch up
Yeah,
on.
because I am so angry about the bombings yesterday in London. I seriously am about to lose my mind.
Everybody is upset.
I don't
about
think
that.
they are,
No,
and that's why I'm angry.
Everybody's a lot of people. Let me say most sane people.
Oh, I'll take that.
Excluding the French. And a lot of
the poor French.
and a lot of the when you hear what Jacques, and I'm going to read it to you, what
Jacques Chirac?
Jacques Chirac,
Yeah.
President of France, had to say in the aftermath of the bombings in London, I think it will really highlight the utter and complete hypocrisy that is prevalent in Europe, especially in France.
Here's a question: did he blame
Yes.
it on the food by any chance?
No, that was last week's
Oh,
excuse.
see,
no,
yeah.
no.
Mhm.
But anyway, we'll discuss it. We've got a lot to catch up on. Clearly, yeah.
I was going to say we didn't finish telling the rest of the show. This is like an exciting show today. In the 7 o'clock hour,
It
we
is.
have Jeff Cross, former Miami Dolphins football player,
Yes.
and
liberal
raconteur.
That's what I like.
That.
That's what I like to call it.
And then in the 8 o'clock hour, I'm very excited about this. We have an interview with Ed Klein, and the news press,
Mm-hmm.
delivering your world, was kind enough to sponsor that half hour so we can bring it to you with limited commercial interruption. Actually, the only interruption we're going to do is a traffic
That's it.
report.
That's it.
'Cause
So-
we want to give you your traffic.
And I have not read his book. It is on my to-read book. I have read a lot of excerpts.
Yep.
I have read a lot of people who have read his book and have commented on it, editorialists and such. And it's a very fascinating situation. We briefly touched on it yesterday. Ed Klein, I don't know if he'll admit it on the air, but it's pretty known that he's a liberal. He's written a book that savages Hillary, called The Truth About Hillary. Now, we'll see. He is neither loved by the left or the right for this book, and it's a fascinating situation. You don't see this very often for different reasons. Obviously, for the left, the closest thing they have to a god in religion is Hillary Clinton or the Clinton family. And on the right, they think that this may be awakening a sleeping tiger or emboldening her to lash back. And neither situation do they want. So Ed Klein is coming up in the 8 o'clock hour, and that is going to be very fascinating.
Huge.
It's going to be great. So those two things are coming up in the 7 o'clock and 8 o'clock hour. But here in the 6 o'clock hour, we've got to kick off with Hurricane Dennis. It has strengthened to a Category 4 hurricane. Last check, it was 135 miles per hour, is traveling at approximately 16 miles an hour. The good news, so I understand from our bestest meteorologist, buddy Marisa Oaks, is that it has jutted just a slight bit to the west. Which
Thank you, Cuba.
Thank you, Cuba. Cuba Libre.
Yes.
Which is good news for Southwest Florida, and all of Florida for that matter. And I believe the latest track has it again somewhere in that broad Pensacola, Mobile, Biloxi area
I
as a
actually
landfall.
just heard that when you look at the tracking models and the projection map, and you see the big cone that goes out, where
Yeah.
pretty much if you're in this cone, you're screwed kind of area.
Yeah.
And someone just told me that they refer to that as the cone of uncertainty.
So,
And
well,
I
that's
thought
accurate.
that's a brilliant way to describe that, the
So-
cone of uncertainty.
So I think it is fair to say, although in meteorology there's no for sure's, it's not going to be a Charlie for us, but we're going to have some ugly weather.
But don't
you know.
uncross the fingers
No,
just yet.
No, don't uncross the fingers just yet.
And
That
is
would
it
be
bad,
foolish.
Pat Hurley, to celebrate the fact that though we will not be smashed by a Category 4 hurricane, someone else in the state will likely be smashed by a Category? You know what I'm saying? I
Well,
feel a little guilty going, woohoo, it's not going to hit us.
I guess there's something to be said for misery loves company. Here we got walloped last year.
Yeah.
And, you don't wish misery on anyone else, but, there's something comfort getting it in someone else's.
Yeah, I found myself slightly celebratory this morning when I realized that the cone of uncertainty had moved over away from us.
I have had a real metamorphosis. I think I told you this yesterday.
You are a
that
butterfly today.
I was a caterpillar like Adam yesterday. Today I am the butterfly of Wink WNOG. But there was a time in my life where hurricane season, as I said, was fun.
Yeah.
They never hit you. They only scared you. You got a couple of days off from school if you were lucky. That kind of thing. Now, my God, since last year, do I dread hurricane
Yep.
season. I mean, I loathe it.
By the end of hurricane season last year, now I was in North Florida, which you would immediately think, well, big whoop.
Yeah, whoop-de-doo.
You know? Well,
What's in northern Florida?
We
Some
are
lousy football
hurricane-
team named the
Shush.
Gators.
Yeah, they're lousy. we'll be carrying them on WPTK Power Talk 1200 this fall. But
Well, there
anyway,
goes the ratings.
little promo there. No, Hurricane Charlie. I was living in a cabin on the Santa Fe River. Hurricane Charlie knocked my power out.
Really?
Pretty badly. We got hit pretty hard by Hurricane Charlie in the middle of the state. And living in the woods, obviously, there's tons of trees that can fall over your power lines. But 2 days later, because of the amount of rain, Charlie probably dumped 12 inches of rain on us because it stopped over the middle of the state.
Right.
So the river flooded. So I was displaced from my home from Hurricane Charlie, which was Labor Day weekend, to November 16th. Because they couldn't fix the power because the river came up and the river flooded. So I had no power and it was flooded underneath it was just a disaster.
So this
yeah.
was a happy time for you
No,
and the
but
family.
the whole thing, by the end of hurricane season last year, because we got Ivan and Jean as well, I was just thinking to myself, thank God it's over. And I find myself with a sense of dread this year that
I
I've never
do
had
too.
before.
I do too. I've never had either. I don't know what this is,
Just
but
take-
I
take
just
the call.
I got a hunch this is one of your biggest fans.
No, I think you, Pat Hurley.
No, I don't think so. Danny on line 4 in Naples. Good morning.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
Doing
We're
great.
doing great.
Hey, listen, in 1990 I moved down here, and I used to listen to Howard Stern and Joe and Stan and all them, but you converted me.
Yay!
Now wait a minute. Let's define converted. Converted to this is the show you want to listen to every morning when you wake up, or you were a liberal and now you're a conservative. What explain?
I was a liberal.
It's
I was
okay.
a hippie. You know, I grew up in the 60s and the 70s. I went to Vietnam. I'm a Vietnam veteran. I used to listen to rock and roll and all that kind of stuff, and then I just kind of meandered into talk radio.
Okay, so you got here, you found your way, you stumbled across, swerved into Daybreak, Southwest Florida,
Yep.
and what has this done to your life? We need a success story here.
Are you more...
Hey, now, Mandy, you'll love this. I used to be a hairdresser
Really?
for 25 years.
Oh,
Come
my
on.
gosh.
A hippie
So
hairdresser.
what are you doing now?
A hippie hairdresser. I clean pools now.
Hey, so you probably have a great tan.
Yeah, I do.
All pool guys have the best tans.
And I'm in good shape, too.
See, there you go.
Mandy's married, sir, please.
I'm not trying to put the moves on Mandy. I'm not at all.
I was about to
not
say,
at all.
at 6:17 in the morning.
I'm very respectful of her.
Thank
yes.
you so much.
Aren't we all? Hey, listen, hey, Danny, thanks for the call. You have boosted our morale.
You guys are the greatest.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Danny.
But,
See, what a nice call. I'm going to leave you here to go do some traffic and stuff, and I've got a situation.
You're going to leave here?
I'll be back.
You're going to leave?
I'm going to leave you with a couple, traffic update and some headlines, but I will be back. I do have a situation.
You have a situation. Well, like, when shall we ever see you again?
I'll be back like within a half hour. No, I'm dead serious.
Oh, how delightful.
You know, there's few people out there who have the depth and breadth of broadcasting experience that I do. From newscasting in a large market to radio broadcasting to voiceovers and hosting lots of national television programs, I've done it all, and I've done it very well, and I'd like to do it for you. Thanks for watching. I'm Patrick Hurley. You know, Kev, honestly, broadcasting has been in my DNA forever. I mean, that's just the way it is with me. I love what I do. I'm passionate about it. And, you know, people that are on camera, radio or television, who can read cue cards, read a teleprompter, they're a dime a dozen. This is a changing industry, whether that's television or radio. It's just completely changing, and it's going to be vastly different 10 years from now. People that have depth, people who can interview, people who can entertain powerfully and communicate powerful ideas, that's not that common. That's what I do.